No, Kraven is not the best movie ever. But is it 15% level worthy? No, it's not that bad. Okay, I just got home from watching Kraven not too long ago, and I'm heading into a live stream within the hour, so I need to go ahead and get this done. I honestly don't have a ton to say about this movie. I think at one point it ended up on my list of most anticipated films for 2023 or 2020, like way back when it was first announced, and then they kept delaying the release of it. So I went to go see it today, first showtime Thursday, 2 p.m. I had accidentally seen that it had a really terrible score on Rotten Tomatoes. So most critics don't like this film. In fact, most critics absolutely hate this film. The last I checked, it was at 15%. And I didn't want to see that because I wanted to go in as uninfluenced as possible. But this is one of those times where I came out of it having seen the film not in agreement at all with a rating that low or an average that low. It's not the best movie, but to me, it's better than several of the more recent ones that I've seen. I liked it more than Venom, and I didn't outright hate Venom. I know some people might be thinking, well, that's not saying much to say you liked it more than Venom, but in my opinion, obviously all of this is my opinion, but at least story-wise, narratively, the plot that they came up with, it felt like they put at least a little bit of effort into coming up with something that was intricate-ish, involved multiple characters. You had different things going on. It didn't feel like it was rushed because this is a 2-hour and 7-minute film. There is no post-credit scene. I confirmed that before I even went to go see it so that I wouldn't be hanging around hoping for one. I mean, from what I understand, this is the end of the whole Sony thing. There's not going to be any more stuff coming from them as far as comic book movies or whatever. It does sort of set it up at the end where you could see the potential for maybe other stuff happening, but since we know that or as far as I understand, there are really no plans for things like that to continue. It's whatever, these little storylines that they open up at the end, or these little character developments, they're not really going to mean anything for the future. So whatever. I took two notes. One, I wrote eye candy moment because at the very beginning, he's getting on this plane after some stuff has happened and he takes his shirt off. Okay. Don't really understand it. He's in a very cold location. Maybe he's got sweat and stuff on his shirt and that'll make him colder, but we all know why that was done, and that was to show us what great shape Aaron Taylor Johnson is in. And boy, he is ripped. He is jacked. It's crazy. He looks good as far as that goes. He's also a decent actor. I mean, I like him. I've always liked him. I felt like he was fine in this role. The other note that I took was convenient saves. There was a moment at the end, something's happening, and right at the obvious, this has become so formulaic. It's just like part of the thing. It's always going to happen. It feels a little petty to complain about it, but I do wish that filmmakers would stop falling back on that, because it just kind of feels like it loses its effectiveness when things like that happen. And it wasn't something that was an all the time sort of occurrence in here, but when it happened, it was just like, oh, okay, how predictable. Russell Crowe was in here. He was fine. He played Kraven's father. For those who don't know, this is more of an origin story. Also, if you're a fan of Kraven from the comics, he's not really, I mean, I'm sure the trailer shows us this, but he is not a villain in this story. He is more of I wouldn't even go so far as to say he's an anti-hero. I mean, maybe in some ways you could view him as an anti-hero, but not really. He's more like in complete good guy hero territory in this film. Some fans might not like that, and if so, I completely get it. I didn't know much about Kraven because I didn't read much of him back in my comic book reading days when I was really young. I knew of him. I remember seeing pictures of him on comic book covers, but I was never really deep into the character or anything like that. So I went into this really kind of as I guess what they call normie. Like I don't know, so I'm easy to please as far as certain things go when it comes to established characters. So I really had no complaints personally, but that's just because of that perspective that I already mentioned. I enjoyed the action in here. It was not super action-packed. That was something else that I appreciated about this film because it didn't fall back on a crap ton of VFX to show action, because a lot of this was character related. It goes into his life as a teen, his relationship with his father, his relationship with his brother, what turned him into the Kraven that we know from, in the movie or whatever. I can't say we know from the comics, but whatever. He does have these abilities, these superhuman type abilities that is shown and explained. It also brings in a character named Calypso, which that name sounds familiar, honestly, but I don't know how many liberties they took with the character of Calypso. She is played by Ariana DeBose, if I'm saying her name right. She's like in more and more things these days. She was okay in there. The relationship that they had was okay. I do like that this film, to me it was okay, because I like that this film didn't get distracted with romantic entanglements. Now I know that that's kind of a complaint by some moviegoers that they would like to see more of that. I personally get a little bit agitated by it because to me, I feel like it just serves as a big distraction for the character. And a lot of times the character will end up doing something stupid because they're so enamored with this girl or whatever, and they make dumb decisions. And I like this is the story. Let's just focus on this. Let's not get sidetracked with other things like that. So yeah, I mean, I had an enjoyable enough time. I wasn't really bored. I also didn't feel like it was too rushed in some areas. So I felt like personally that the use of that 2 hours of time was done okay. It's certainly not a masterpiece or anything. And I know if I go back and watch it again, I can probably poke holes in a bunch of different things, but this is just my initial reaction to the film, my initial thoughts, review, whatever. I enjoyed it okay. It's all right. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not Iron Man level or Wonder Woman level, but it was enjoyable enough. I mean, he's kind of one of those he's not like a major character, and I mean, he is, but he isn't. He's not like a Joker or a Catwoman. He's just one of those sort of side-ish characters. But, if you're interested to check it out, go check it out. Let me know what you think. I don't think it's going to do spectacularly well this weekend, but I also really, I don't feel like it's deserving of the critical hate it seems to be getting. I really don't. I'm really not in agreement with that. If I had to rate this on a star system, maybe a 10-star system, I would maybe rate it between a 6 and a 6.5, something like that. It was okay. So I think that about sums up for now my thoughts on Kraven the Hunter. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up so I can enjoy my coffee before it gets cold. All right, you guys. Bye.